where can we find a meeting point for all this clamoring? Because they are all different voices calling for different things, but yet they use the same word, restructure.
That's what I'm saying. You see, we used to have an organization here, Nigerian Nationalities. I belong to that organization. It has not done very well because the Nigerian government, as well, the powers that be, don't want it to be. The idea was to let you know who you are. Once you know who you are, then you can negotiate from that standpoint. The essence of a nation is the bringing together of various interests to create a nation. You see, that is the essence of a nation. It doesn't come from the blues. The elements that make that nationality, the elements that make it up. But those elements must know themselves first. You see, you have to be able to negotiate from that standpoint of that element. Like I say, I'm a Yoruba man. If you want me to be a Nigerian, and stop thinking first and foremost that I'm a Yoruba man, then we sit down together. What do I get for that? The Fulani man should be able to say, well, what do I get for that? The Nukwe man should have to say, what do I get for that? Then we sit down and talk about it.
Oh, you think we can actually let every ethnic nationality get what they want?
Thank you, and then we can have a nation.
That would take some doing. We have
it's not difficult.
Over what, 200-300 ethnic nationalities?
It's not difficult. It's not. Don't make it look that difficult.
Well, tell us about. Tell us how to go about it.
Thank you very much. The Yoruba nation, we are over 50 million people. Well, you can subdivide that within that nation. You have Ijebus, you have Ijeshas, you have Egbas, you have things like that within, but we have a common identity. We have common thing, we have a common identity, we have a cultural affinity, something that brings us together. You cannot find this in an Igbo setting. The cultural setting you find in the Yoruba setting, you won't find it in Igbo setting. I'm not saying anyone is better than the other. I'm telling you that they're different. You can't find it in Hausa setting too. I'm not saying anyone is better than the other. I'm just telling you that they're different. So we can group it like that. It was something like that our forefathers did when we had the regions. We had the 3 regions, then it later became 4. It was something like that. You see, we could walk that way. You see, that is the basics.
But what do we make of those, sorry to jump in, what do we make of those who then say that, well, Afenifere doesn't represent my interest even though I'm from the Southwest? Because we have a number of people who have said that to us.
I'm sure you have to get what they're saying. I don't believe you.
When they say that Afenifere
I don't
doesn't
believe
represent.
you when you say that.
Why?
Because it's not true.
But we had people who have come, I mean, was it 2 weeks ago? They had them in Abuja studios.
How did they say it?
They said they were not part of the meeting.
You see,
they didn't represent their interests.
You make a mistake.
What's the mistake?
Thank you. That's a misinformation from you.
I'm quoting what they told me.
Well, you are repeating that in misinformation. Afenifere is a social cultural group. We have never said that we aggregate completely, and I'm careful with my choice of words here. I've never said we aggregate completely, absolutely, the interests of all Yoruba people. I'm a father for 5 children. The mere fact that 1 or 2 don't like me, it doesn't stop me from being the father of everybody. You have to look at the aggregate interest. What is important here, and nobody can fault this, is that Afenifere represents the majority of Yoruba people. No other organization can claim that. I'm a father, like I told you, I have children. My 1 or 2 children who may not like me, but I'm still their father.
And just for clarity,
Thank you very much.
It is not a religious organization.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
I do have a quote here I wanted us to look at based on the meeting they had in the northern region. They had, I mean, they're still talking about restructuring and all of that. So I actually marked out a certain portion where he says defining the word restructuring. So he says it has to be inclusive and respect procedures and processes so that the outcome is sustainable. When we say we're looking at something that's all inclusive, how do we go about getting this? Where we have these aggregations you talked about, the different